Dragon Ball Super Episode 96 really was our first taste into just how powerful Jiren from Universe 11 could be. And of course, I'm talking about Jiren, the Pride Trooper member that Topo mentioned a few episodes back when he and Goku were fighting. So, up until this episode 96, we had seen brief snippets of Jiren. We saw him meditating a few episodes back. We heard other characters allude to or mention this character, but we hadn't really seen him in action until episode 96. And even with that said, very, very small amount of footage in this episode. But I think what we did see was particularly impactful, and it sheds light on A, how strong this guy is, and B, what are some of his abilities that make him such a dangerous fighter. So the first time we saw him here, Goku's looking over at him, and almost magically, Jiren appears behind him. And Goku was visually disturbed by it. It almost, to be honest, it almost seems like Goku was a bit scared by it, because of just how fast Jiren was able to get behind him, to the point that Goku didn't even realize it until it was too late. Right there, to be honest, when I saw that, and I'm curious to hear what everybody else thinks, I think that Jiren knows instant transmission. I don't think it was a case of Jiren being that much faster than Goku. I think it was Jiren knowing the only technique that we've seen in Dragon Ball to allow someone to move that quickly. But I think that there's a difference. Whereas with Goku, when he uses it, there's a visual cue that he's using it. He places his fingers on his forehead and he uses the instant transmission technique. Jiren, on the other hand, he seemingly uses it at will. So could it be a level of mastery of instant transmission that is even beyond what Goku's able to do? Curious to hear what you think, but I'm going to say that Jiren used instant transmission here in episode 96, and I'm sure we'll see it here a bit more as we go into the next upcoming episodes when the Tournament of Power actually begins. But based on what I saw here, I'm thinking that Jiren knows instant transmission. So we all know how powerful that technique is. I think that alone would make Jiren a huge threat in this Tournament of Power, because we know how OP that technique really is. Not only did Jiren use something like instant transmission, or not only did he move as fast as instant transmission allows you to move, but he also demonstrated another technique later on in the episode when a few of the Gods of Destructions fired a couple of attacks. They were flying everywhere. Everybody's kind of panicking. They don't want to get hit by this thing. Jiren doesn't even move, and Goku even sees it, and he's like, "Wow, he knew it wasn't going to hit him, or he was able to predict the attack's movement." So it's, I think, either one of two things. Either Jiren has some type of predictive ability. Maybe it's a similar ability that we saw with Hit, where he's able to affect time, and he knew that these attacks would not hit him. Or it also made me think back to the Frieza saga when Goku was fighting Jace and Berter, and he was moving so quickly that it didn't seem like he was moving at all. So maybe Jiren was moving that quickly where he was using instant transmission to go back and forth, and the attacks seemingly went right by him. Or he has some type of an innate ability where he can predict attacks, where they're going to land, when he has to move, when he doesn't have to move. Either of those situations would make this guy far and beyond anybody that we've seen so far in Dragon Ball Super, outside of guys like Beerus, outside of Whis and the Angels, etc. So I think even though we only saw a very, very small snapshot, a very small sample of data here from Jiren, it's all pointing to this guy being the most powerful foe that Goku will fight yet. If you look at power levels, I think he'd be right up there with Goku, probably beyond Goku, unless we see that long anticipated new form from Goku. I think this is the guy that Whis was talking about when he mentioned a character that even a God of Destruction couldn't beat. I'm not saying that makes Jiren stronger than Beerus, but we all know that Beerus is not the weakest god of destruction. We know he's not the strongest, but he's definitely not the weakest. Could Jiren beat the weakest god of destruction? I think, if this is who Whis is talking about, yeah, I think he could. And if that's the case, then we know that Goku and Vegeta, arguably Frieza, Gohan, those characters are all just right at the cusp of being God of Destruction level power. And I think this battle here, when Goku fights Jiren, it's going to be that thing that prompts him to get over that level. This tournament of power could be what prompts Gohan to ascend to that next level. I hope it's what allows Vegeta to get to that next level, but that's for a different video. So, curious what you think based on what you saw here in episode 96. Do you think that Jiren knows instant transmission? What do you think of his predictive ability, where he can sense attacks and knows where they're going to land and not land? Do you think he's stronger than a God of Destruction? Let me know in the comments. I'm very curious to hear what people have to think, especially about this instant transmission technique that I think he has. If you like this video, please hit me up with a like, a subscription if you don't want to miss any future videos on Dragon Ball Super. And most importantly, thanks for watching. We'll catch up soon.